Hello, I am here today, this morning in Colorado, in Boulder to be exact, with Robyn, with Art Journal Girl. Let's just get that out right now. And with Brie with Documented Journey. I am so excited that you guys can join us. They've been so kind enough to allow me to interview them and ask them a few questions. This is actually Robyn's debut. She's never been on camera. I cannot believe it. So anyway, after today, she's going to be on camera more often. And Instagram Live, right?
We'll see.
And Brie, of course, has videos. And I don't know if you guys know this story, but I've been watching Brie's videos for a long time. But I did not quite put the name and the face or any of that together until I came to Colorado and we were going to meet up. And so right before the meetup, I thought I should look up what she does and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I follow her and I watch her videos, and so anyway, that's the story. And I think I was here in May last time.
Yeah, spring.
And yeah, so it was super fun. She met with me, and so did Jaded Journals, which is Zoe. And so anyway, and now she's having a meetup with Robyn, and so I thought I'd come and join. And there's going to be 10 people at what is the store called?
It's called Two Hands Paperie.
There you go. So anyway, so super excited to go to that, but right now we're just having coffee and getting this interview. First question is to both of you. Who or what got you started in journaling?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I know the answer.
Okay.
Also, at what age? Also.
Okay, so I started journaling when I was 8, and it's because one of my grandmas was already like addicted to stationery, and the other grandma was a teacher. So I was just always passed all of these notebooks and pens, and I just really fell in love with gel pens. That was the first collection that I ever had, was a whole bunch of rainbow gel pens, but then the notebooks just came along with that. But I started journaling when I was 8, and it never stopped.
So basically, who encouraged you to do that are both your grandparents?
Both my grandmas.
Cool.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes.
Mine is a bit different. I grew up, my mom was a art teacher, my grandfather was an architect, my dad worked with my grandfather, so like for a very, starting with a very young age, I was handed art materials. So I started drawing a lot sooner than I started journaling. When I was in grade school, I was bullied a bunch, and my mom told me that I needed to get it out because I had a couple ulcers and things like that. And so she said I needed to get it out, so I should write it down. So what I did was, that's when she gave me my first journal. And so I just started kind of just heart gushing at that point. And I think that I was about in 5th grade when that happened.
I wanted to ask you, did you get to look at your grandma's journals after that?
She was pretty private, so she didn't really share with me, but she just encouraged me to do the writing. So
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So is your grandmother still alive?
yes, they both are.
So do they still, are they still both into journaling and all the stationery?
My one grandma who was more into it, she's got dementia, so she can't really do that anymore. But I don't know, I'll get to look through her things.
You will sometime?
Yeah.
That's cool.
In the future.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
And I think it was my live this morning that I was talking about writing all that stuff down and how important it is. Somebody said something, oh, it was Julianne. She had mentioned that this weekend, because I asked everybody what they were doing this weekend, and she said she was looking through her grandmother's diary and reading, and she said that it's been 3.5 years since she's been gone, and she was just really enjoying it and just really even looking at her writing. I was encouraging the viewers this morning that, see, sometimes we think, oh, my writing isn't good enough, I can't, it doesn't look good, or what am I going to talk about? None of that really matters. It's just doing it, and whatever you need for yourself, to journal, like for Brie, she needed to get that stuff out into pen and paper. I mean, that helped her throughout her life. And I have kind of the similar type of a story in that I needed a journal, and that's how I got started. I was 10. I needed a journal because I was going through a lot of things, and I did not really have anybody to talk to about it. My parents, during that time, the culture was such, you didn't really talk about those kinds of things. But I heard a lot being bullied at school and teased. And so I wrote in my journal, and honestly, I felt like that was my best friend.
I still feel like it's my best friend.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That you could just say whatever on there, and it doesn't matter, except for when other people read it.
Well, that's
And
a
you
different
don't-
story.
and you don't really
if you don't want them to.
right? Because one time,
That's
one
happened
of
to
my
me.
parents was reading my journals.
It was my husband.
Oh, no. So anyway, we won't go into that, but we don't want to start a family discord. But anyway, so yeah, it's just really important, and so that's just an encouragement to hear that your grandmother, you'll be able to get to see her writing in the future, and for you that you were able to go through the things that you went through by journaling. And I think that is something actually that's missing nowadays, and as a lot of kids nowadays have the same issues, but probably 100 times more than we ever did, but yet they don't have an outlet. And then piled that with the fact that a lot of kids nowadays do not have the support at home, that's just so difficult. And so I think maybe getting that out, and maybe even gifting young teens with a journal and kind of help them get started would be a thing that maybe we should be doing more often.
I think that would be awesome. When I was a teacher, I taught fibers, and we made journals. And in that fibers class, I made them keep a journal. Now, nothing to the extent of probably what we write in ours, but I would give them a prompt, and then they would have to journal it. They could add photos. They could do whatever they want. So they made their own book and journaled. And some, I still kind of keep in contact with some of the kids, and some of them today still say that they keep a journal.
Wow, that's great. So my next question is, how did you guys meet? Because they're pretty good friends, if you weren't aware of that.
Instagram.
Yep.
Instagram.
Yeah.
How did it start? You just started chatting?
Pen pal.
Yeah.
We decided to exchange pen pal letters.
And how long ago was this?
2 years?
2 years ago.
2 years?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. And I wanted to ask that because I kind of had an idea that's how you guys met. And that's how I've met a lot of my journal friends, like Babette, Maria, Lori, the ones that I visited in Canada, and just a slew of people. And one of the things I think people are familiar with is that whenever I'm in a city, I'll announce it. And so if someone wants to go out for coffee, I'll take the time to go to coffee with them, because I think it's just it's a big community. It's a big enough community, but yet it's also small. You can make
It's a perfect
it smaller,
size.
Yeah.
to where you get to meet people and you get to just get to know them on Instagram. A lot of times that's where we know them from, and then to meet them in person, that's just honestly the highlight of my trip.
Yeah, it connects you even more.
Exactly.
It's fun.
So it's always so fun. So that's really cool that you guys met, and this is the first time you've met in person, right?
Yeah.
Robyn's amazing for coming out here.
Yeah.
See?
I didn't have to go anywhere.
I know. You're coming my way next time.
There you go. So anyway, just another encouragement for you guys. If you don't, a lot of people will say that they don't have people in their community that does the same type of things, like the journaling and the planning and all that, and meet someone on Instagram.
You can still have a journal buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What do you do when you feel like you're in a slump? In your journaling or your drawing, what do you do to get out of that?
Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I go outside. I go for a walk, or I just get outside. If I can breathe fresh air, then I feel like, I don't know, it clears my head a bit. It gets me in a better mood space. I also do different types of journaling. I do a lot of illustrated journaling, and then I do a lot of writing, and they're separate books. So a lot of times when I'm like, I just can't draw anything, I tend to write more, and vice versa. And that's okay. Like, a lot of people are like, how do I get out of that slump? And I'm like, you're not in a slump. It's just what you're liking at the moment. But for me, if I can't do either, I go outside.
So so you have two different journals. How do you write in both of them daily?
No, I write in my written journal probably daily, like kind of almost like morning pages, but I do it at night. And then my illustrated journal is a little behind, I guess, so I just kind of pick bits and pieces that I want to include in that illustrated journal as more of a keepsake.
So the written journal basically is where you just dump whatever you want to talk about, or what have you.
Sometimes I just want to write for the sake
Right?
of writing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I might write about the weather or my favorite color, or like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just,
The mundane, it's still important.
I just want
Exactly.
Yeah.
to put the pen to the paper.
Yep.
That's
So-
how I feel too a lot of times, and
Yeah.
that's why when people say, I don't know what to write or whatever, I'm like, what do you mean?
I
Because
write about
just
what I'm
write.
wearing.
Or if you're watching a show while you're painting or whatever, I just start talking about what I'm watching.
Exactly.
Or I'm
Me
writing
too.
I'm writing words about what I'm seeing.
Yep.
You know, blue coat. Oh, I'm writing blue coat. You know,
Yeah.
or whatever. You
Yeah,
know?
me too.
And so, yeah, it's
The
I'm glad
joy
about
of
that.
writing.
Yeah, exactly. And just getting it down on paper. Okay, so Robyn, it's your turn.
Yeah, so when I'm in a slump and I don't know what to write, and I can't draw like Brie can, so I can't just go to drawing. So I just go to my watercolors and I just start plopping the color on the pages, and I just start prepping a few pages in my journal. And that time spent doing that is the focus that I needed to help me do the relaxing or whatever I needed in that moment. Even if I'm not writing, I'm doing something with those colors, and it's providing me that space to just be,
Yeah, to breathe.
to breathe. Yes,
Yeah,
that's the
to
word
breathe.
I'm looking for.
Yeah,
So I
to
don't always,
clear it.
I don't always write, but if I add color to a page, that does it for me as well. So
That's so cool because I do the same thing. Sometimes I just, like you said, you want to just active writing.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes will have the just want to paint. But like Robyn, I'm not necessarily one to just all of a sudden paint a teacup or a picture, you know. And so I just plop too, and I just play, and sometimes I won't even use it as part of my journaling. I just do it, and then later on you can add things to it,
Yeah.
you know. And so there's really no hard and fast rule, but I love how you guys are able to share this, and because it resonates with me, and I'm sure it's resonating with other women, and getting that and going, oh, so I'm not the only one that does that.
Well, I think too, though, even if you're in a space that you just like are in a slump, is it really a slump, or are you just working through something and you'll come back to it later? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
A lot of times, like, what is a slump to people? A couple days or a month? You know, I would hate for someone not to journal for a month, but a couple days I don't feel like is that big of a slump.
No, and
know?
I don't journal every day because
Right.
sometimes I just don't have time.
Life.
And really, a lot of times, I'm going to be honest, when I work, I start work at 7:30 usually,
Yeah.
and then I'm there till like 6 or 7 at night sometimes, and then I get home and I have dinner, and all I could do is just sit in front of Netflix, and I'm not ashamed of it because, you know, that's how I unwind and just get ready for the next day, and that's okay because I think a lot about what I'm doing and work and all of that, and that's my way of getting away from thinking about work. And so that's what I do, you know, sometimes. And a lot of times I will just paint or do
While you're
whatever
watching.
while I'm watching.
Yeah,
And so
totally.
whatever works for you, but don't ever feel like, oh my gosh, I have to journal.
Yeah,
every day.
I'm in this huge slump. Now what do I do? Just relax.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you relax, you'll get out of your slump. Do something that relaxes you. Take a bath. Whatever.
And another thing is that if you feel like you're in that moment and it's been a couple of days and you haven't journaled, why not take a book, a favorite book, or the Bible, what I do on a regular basis, and I just copy.
Yeah. Or quotes. You can even find a good quote that you like and slap that on your journal page.
And then just on that note, sometimes I've had people ask me where I get certain quotes from, and all you have to do is take a word. For instance, the word good, and if you want to find a quote that has the word good, all you have to do is go on Google and put good quote, and a bunch of them will come up, and more than you probably wanted in the first place. And
Yep.
so that's how you look at quotes, and then you find one that you like, and then you put it in your notebook.
That's right.
You know? So my other question then, since we're talking about slump, so to speak, I know a lot of people have a hard time starting a notebook on the first page. what do you do? First of all, do you have that problem, or if you do, or maybe you don't, what would you suggest for people to do to get out of that?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
We're just gonna rotate.
I don't always have that problem with starting a new notebook, but if you do have that problem, something I have done in the past is I just put the same quote at the beginning of each notebook, and it's that Jack London quote: "Keep a notebook." It's a long one.
I don't know it word
Keep
for
a
word.
notebook,
So.
journal in it, hold it close to your heart. It's just this nice quote, and it just fits in any journal, and it will start your journal off on a good note, I think. You'll have to look it up, because I don't have it memorized, but it's Jack London.
For me, it's kind of the same thing. I always start a notebook with a quote. I feel like my holdup is finishing a notebook, not starting a notebook. I love blank pages, so that's not the problem for me. It is, I'm sad to see that old notebook go, so I like savor the last 3 or 4 pages, but yet I'm so antsy to get to the next notebook, but I still can't like finish it for some reason. So yeah, quote it up, man.
Yeah.
Quote it up.
Good quote.
Yep.
Yeah.
For me, my advice would be to just do it, okay?
Yeah. Who cares?
Who cares? No one cares.
Write about
But,
what you're wearing.
Yeah, exactly. No, but for me, it's not really a problem because, like you, I love new notebooks. I always feel like, you know, when I used to, first day of school.
Yeah, I
have
love
all
first day
my
of school.
New bags, my
Yep.
new pens, my new pencils. It's kind of like that, you know, and so I get super excited. But I do want to say that I know someone, it's one of my daughter's friends, and she doesn't do it for this purpose, but what she does, I think will work for a time like this when you don't want to start that first page. She randomly writes anywhere in her notebook. So she'll take anywhere in her notebook and she'll write whatever's going on in her life or what have you, and then she'll just date it. And then the next time she goes to another
a random page.
no matter where it is, she will just write.
That would drive me insane.
So then she doesn't feel, I would think that if she had that issue about starting on the first page, then she's not starting on the first page.
I get that. That makes sense.
So that, yes, but that, I couldn't do that either.
I like my
Chronological.
pages in order. I do.
Yep.
Right.
That's just me though, and I respect the people that don't have to worry about that. I do work ahead if I'm in like if I'm prepping pages or whatever, but I'm not writing ahead. Does that make sense? Or I'm not like switching the pages around.
Oh, so you
the
do
date.
do that? Like
I'll prep ahead, like I'll draw ahead, but then I will go back and I will write on top of it. But my writing is in order. Does that make sense?
Yes. Now, do either one of you use the Hobonichi?
No.
I use the weeks.
Okay, and what do you use the weeks for?
That's my planner.
Oh, okay. Because I use a Hobonichi, so it's dated.
Yeah.
And so I don't really necessarily like to go back and try to fill in what was there, except for my travel, because then, you know, it's going to be all
It's dated.
documented, and I
Yeah.
know what I did during the travel. But on everyday life, I don't necessarily go back. But what I do in those pages, because I know people have asked me this in the past, what do you do with those pages that you miss, that you don't do anything with? You know, a lot of times when I just feel like drawing or painting, I go to that page. Or if I have a memory of, like for instance, I'll be doing my hair or something, and then I'm thinking about, oh, I remember that time that my daughter Kayla did this. Yeah, I should write about that. I'll write about it on that page. It doesn't have to be what happened that day, or a family tradition, or a conversation that you remember maybe happened 5 years ago. Just anything interesting that you may want to document and keep for future is okay. You can do whatever. You can put quotes. You know.
You can put
What
quotes.
other things can you guys think of that you,
You
could
could
put in those pages?
you could like research a challenge. Like I don't use the Hobonichi, but I do follow the Hobonichi challenge. So if I thumb through the challenges, the old challenges that they have, maybe something like is interesting, so I draw that instead of, you know, filling up the page of a day-to-day type of situation.
Or you could use a photograph. Sometimes just printing a picture out of something, your kids or whatever, and putting it on the page will inspire you to write something.
Exactly.
Sometimes
no, that's true.
I have done where I print a photograph and then I ask my kids questions. My kids are young, so the questions are hilarious. But it's like, what's your name? And they're like, I don't know. So I write their answer, like just something like, and then I date it for their age, and so you have a little keepsake. It's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, do either one of you keep a journal for your kids?
For like a specific kid journal.
I kept pregnancy journals while I was pregnant with each of them, but I haven't journaled them. No, I don't have kid journals now. It all goes in my journal. Everything that I write about them goes in
So she has 3 kids. So the 3 kids are gonna have to fight over her journal when she.
Yeah.
That's okay. They're gonna have to fight over mine too. My
well,
2
I have
kids.
a lot. They'll be able to split them up and get a whole bunch.
And by that time, you'll be able to like shove a book in like a printer and it scans the whole thing for you without having to scan
That would
the
be
pages.
nice, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. That'd be nice.
It's coming.
For me, what was the question again? The question
Through
was.
kids, do you keep kids journals?
No, I don't keep a kids journal. I'm with Robyn. It goes in one book. However, I do keep kind of like Project Life, where I print like my favorite pictures for the month, and it all goes on one spread, and then I write about like what cool things happened that month. So one Project Life book could consist of 4 years with how many photos, because I don't print very much and do very much. So they do have those individual books for themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm super behind though, a year behind.
But that is something that you can do. You can journal about what your kids are doing, especially when they're young, but also when they're older. Because when I found the Traveler's Notebook system, I didn't do it when I used to use the same notebook over and over year after year, because I just used that one notebook. With the Traveler's Notebook, it gave me an idea. You could use different inserts, so you could take it with you, and then you could just write randomly whenever. And so I tried doing that while they were in college, because I knew at that time they were not journaling themselves. Although I taught them to journal, they just did not have time. And the thing is that you don't think it's that big of a deal until you're a little bit older, and you go, man, I wish
Life
I
is quick.
written that down.
Yeah.
As far as they're concerned.
Because you don't remember. So
And
if they ask you questions, because I'm asking my parents right now a ton of questions, they're like, Brie, I don't know. And I'm like, oh man, I wish you remembered that.
Yeah. But I'm talking about even for them, because they're not my
'cause
older daughters can journal, but they're not, and they don't see the value as much right now, I don't think, because they're living their life, and that's fine. But I started a journal for them, and then I would talk about their highs and their lows, and then maybe someday they'll look at it. But I kind of stopped after a while because it's time consuming.
It is, and to keep up with all those journals and on top of everyday life,
Right.
and
That's
a
why
job
it's easier to have it all in your own journal. Yeah. So I mean, it totally makes sense. But whatever works for you. These are just ideas we're throwing out, just so that
I mean,
You
the
can
way
try
we
it.
journal could change next year, or tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
I'm open to change.
So now, as far as the journaling too, do you have your journals with you? I've always wondered this about most people. Do you carry your journals with you, or where do you house it?
Mine stays home, unless I'm traveling or I know that I'm gonna be able to journal where I'm going. But I'm not taking it to the grocery store or to the doctor's office. I'm not. Mostly it's home. So,
Do you journal in the morning or at night? Or just like random?
I
I'm
journal
asking-
throughout.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just kidding. No, that's a good question.
I journal throughout the day.
Okay.
Yeah, on and off. All the time, whenever I can.
So my written journal stays at home. It normally is by my bedside table, but my illustrated journal, I take it with me everywhere because I just might want to draw something. I don't necessarily write out in public, but I will draw in public.
That's interesting. Are you opposed to writing in public?
No, but when I'm writing, I'm like really concentrating most of the time, and I feel like, well, one, I always have my kids in tow, so I can't really concentrate on my writing when my kids are around. That's just how I feel. Like once I read it back, I'm like, whoa, that doesn't make sense. So, because they interrupt a lot. So the drawing, I can stop and pick it up later, and tend to them. So.
What about you, Robyn? You don't like to write in public?
Well, in in the past, I had my journal and my planner and my wallet all in one standard traveler's notebook. I was doing that for a while, and then I went to a pediatrician appointment, and he needed some information that I had to go in there to my planner section, but my journal was like falling out, and he saw it, and that scarred me. So having my written journal in public doesn't make me comfortable anymore. So, and that was like 5 years ago, and I still can't do it. So,
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that one event
yeah.
can do that.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a big deal for you because your journal is right in front of us.
Well, this is a journal meetup. This is what we're here for. This is why I came.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, for me, I just journal. Well, the thing is my lifestyle is such that it's just, I am gone from the home most of the time.
So
And
it's just always with
I
you.
have to take it with me. But the hard part right now, honestly, is that I have 2 A5s that I carry with me, and also,
Those are big.
Yeah.
And 2 of them.
well, it's the half, so it's kind of like having
Like the
1
Avec?
year of the, yes, the Avec.
Okay.
And so it's like having 1 year worth. It's hard, and sometimes I put it in my work bag and leave it in there, but it's also my daily life on one of the books, and so it's really difficult, but it's just what I have to deal with. And I have bags, so I'll leave the bag in the car sometimes, if I'm not going to use it, but whatever works. But for me, I just cannot leave home without my journal.
Kind of feel naked.
I feel like
Like
that,
a phone, yeah.
or like I feel like it's my, I don't know, like security blanket or something. Because I just never know what I need to jot down at any given moment. And I honestly like to jot things down with a pen and paper rather than on the phone. And I know I can do that easily on the phone, and it's probably more convenient at times because it's all right there. You always have your phone, but there's just nothing like the pen and paper.
I also feel like when you write it down, the physical aspect of writing it down also helps me remember it. So, I get why you would want to write it instead of put it in your phone. I totally get that.
So anyway, so again, it's to each their own. However it's going to work out for you, whether you write during the day or at night or wherever you're at, et cetera, et cetera. But I personally don't have a problem writing in a public place, and I think a lot of times I'm able to concentrate better because then I'm not at the studio.
I shouldn't be doing this. I should be
I gotta
working.
go do this. Right. Or just I'm so distracted. There's always something going on.
And see, for me, I always have my kids, so they're a constant distraction. So I feel like the only time I can write is after they go to bed.
So that is when you write then at night mostly?
Yep, I lay in bed. I'm like a teenage girl writing in bed. Yep.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, see, if I am on the bed and I'm writing,
You fall asleep?
No, because I'm older, I'll get up and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Why was I sitting that way?
Yeah.
So anyway,
I get that.
we may have to cut that out. But that's too much information.
No one needs to know that.
Tell the audience one thing or 2 things, whatever you would like, something that would encourage them to keep on documenting life as it happens. Like how I was able to get that in there?
Yeah, she just snuck that in there, didn't she?
I wasn't even thinking of that ahead of time.
Wait, what was your question? Repeat it. Just
Okay, so basically an encouragement to the viewers of anything, whatever, journaling, planning, drawing, or anything. It's something that you would maybe have wanted to hear from someone else in the past that you can share.
Okay. So my advice to you is, it's not really advice. I'm just telling you that your life matters. Everyone's life matters, and your life is important. So when you put it on paper, it just makes you feel like it's just a little bit more important. So I would encourage you to write because your life matters.
My advice was very similar to yours, actually. I was going to just talk about how I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I don't currently feel like I'm contributing to the planet, to people. I don't have a job, things like that. So for me, keeping a journal makes me feel validated that I was a person, I was here, I existed, I had friends, I raised raised children. Like I did that with my hands.
And you have feelings.
And I have feelings and concerns and trials like everybody else does. So journaling makes me feel alive. So that's why I keep doing it. And that's why you should keep doing it.
Can I just encourage you in something, Robyn?
Yeah.
And I hope that this will encourage young moms as well. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I taught my daughters, I homeschooled them from kindergarten through high school. I am the most unlikely person to teach anyone academics, to be honest. I really am. But I do have a lot of street smarts. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not coming down on myself. That's not what I'm trying to say.
No, you're understanding your values. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm more street smart too. I get you.
Yes. And the thing is that, how do I put this? I am not the most academically brilliant or anything like that. However, it was I felt both my husband and I felt like that's what the route we were supposed to go. And I was a career person before. And so it's so hard when you come from a career and then you're staying at home. It just almost doesn't make sense.
No.
But I will tell you, what you are doing if you are at home is so much more important. And you may not feel it, you may not get it until you're out. And one of your daughters will say, this is what my daughter told me.
Oh, I'm gonna get goosebumps.
I'm going to start to cry. She said, you know, I was telling a friend of mine, she said that I feel like you're so blessed today because you gave up everything for us, your career and everything. And she knew how much my career meant to me prior to. And honestly, I was so shocked that she said that to me because I'm not one to go, you know, I could have been this or I could have been that, but you know, I gave this up for you. I never do that to my kids, and that's something you shouldn't do. If you're doing it, it's because you're doing it because that's where you feel you should be at. You know, but all I'm trying to say is that get that out of your mind that you're just a stay-at-home mom and you don't have a career and that you're not contributing, because you are contributing so much more than if you were working outside of your home. And I'm not saying those who choose both can't do that, but I'm just saying it's not easy to be at home.
No, and I want to add to that because I was a teacher before I had kids, and I taught for 9 years, and then I decided I had my son. I taught for another year, and then I decided this is not where I want to be. I want to be at home with them. And so I quit my job, and my job was a piece of cake compared to staying home with my kids. But I feel so much more fulfilled staying home than being at a teaching job where I taught kids. I mean, honestly, comparing the two, they're very similar. You know, being a stay-at-home mom and a teacher. But I feel so much more fulfilled staying at home with my kids.
And it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
my mom couldn't stay home with us at all. She was just like, no, I was a much better mom working. More power to you for understanding that about yourself.
Exactly. And that's what's important.
Right.
See, if you're making yourself do something that you are not meant to really do or is not comfortable, sure, maybe you could try it. But if it's not working out, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
you want to be the best you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't, you know, for me, it was something that we wanted to do, is we wanted to homeschool. And I know that other people could have done better, but I did what I could. And of course, I researched, so I know. But I learned right along with them. And then now they're very successful young women. And I go, must have been because I taught them. Just kidding. No, they're their own people. But, you know, that's a foundation that they have. And so whatever it is, it's going to work out just fine. You know, you just do your best.
Do you.
So.
Be you. The best you can be.
So, anything else you guys want to add?
No, thank you for having us and coming to visit.
No, and thank you. I'm so glad that I got to meet you finally, Robyn, because I've known Robyn for a long time now. I think, you were on Instagram
I was on Instagram before,
right? And then you stopped or something?
Yeah.
In fact, I think
I've trialed one of your original traveler's notebooks.
Oh, that's right, you did.
I did.
I think I sent it to like 3 people. I think it was during the time I was just starting to do the travelers, right?
Yeah, it had the pocket that wrapped around both
Oh,
sides.
okay, cool. And so they tried it, and it was a trial, and then they gave me feedback. Oh my gosh,
That was
so
me.
cool. Do you still have it?
No, I sent it back to you because you wanted it back.
I did, but did I send you something in return?
Yeah, you sent me whatever I asked for. I think I asked for a field notes or
Okay,
something like
so that must be what I did. Is I took them back, but then I think I sent something else, whatever else they wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
That's cool.
Oh, how
Wow.
funny! Because I don't do that now.
No.
I just, yeah. So anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for being here. I am so excited now to go to the meetup because we're
know.
going to meet other like-minded ladies and get to go shopping. And so again, thank you so much for hanging out and being with us. And if you guys aren't following these two, you should be. Can you give them your Instagram and YouTube? Oh, and Robyn just started her YouTube, right? Channel.
Yes, I did. Okay, so I'm Art Journal Girl on Instagram and YouTube and Etsy.
Did
So-
you used to do that? Didn't you used to do YouTube before?
She's just calling you all out, man,
Yes.
isn't she?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, so you're good at it then.
We can talk about that crisis later.
Okay. Wasn't really a crisis.
No, just a phase in life.
Yeah, exactly.
phase in
Again,
life.
it's a phase. You
Yeah.
have
Yep.
phases, and that's okay.
Actually, going through that
Seasons.
phase made you a better person anyway, right?
It did. Yeah, I
So-
grew out of that. So it's good.
Yep. And I'm Documented Journey, and you can find me as Documented Journey on YouTube, Instagram, and Etsy.
Okay, well with that, thank you so much again for hanging out, and as usual, keep on documenting life as it happens. Bye-bye. See, was it so hard?
No, it wasn't too bad.
You guys, thank you for coming on and watching this video, and I'm going to turn out the camera around and we'll go from there.
Awesome. I bumped the camera.
Yeah, you did.
So you guys, thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to turn the camera around right now.